And to help us focus more on this visit, we're joined from London by Mrs. Nora Lee Knotson, the Republican commentator, to discuss how Trump's reception and the demonstrations shade a narrative around his leadership and America's image in Britain. Mrs. Nora Lee Knotson, thank you for joining us. How would you describe the atmosphere around Trump's second state visit? Is it the contrast between royal hospitality and public protests unusual?
Well, thank you for having me today. I must say it's been unprecedented times for our democracy. There's been a lot of turmoil over the past week, as we know, with the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk. But the historic second state visit of Trump has really been a wonderful event. It's underscored not only the special relationship between the US and the UK, but how united the two nations are in their pursuit of peace, in their pursuit of protecting their citizens and their citizens' rights, and as well in prosperity, with a lot of very interesting business ties and business deals that have been announced between both nations.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say about this special relationship, given the trade tensions, the policy differences? What's truer, what's more realistic, the trade and tariffs and the tensions and the political ideologies and stances, or the resilience of this relationship?
This relationship endures, and resilience is a great word that you use. In fact, it is in times like this that the relationship is strengthened. If we listen to President Trump, he actually commended Starmer for the great work that he's doing. Despite their political differences, they are united in trying to protect their great nations. I mean, Trump gave him some advice on dealing with the immigration problem. Clearly, the place where they disagree and the one disagreement they have that was highlighted today is, of course, on their stance towards a Palestinian state and towards the atrocities in Gaza. But they are united on focusing on prosperity. They're going to deepen their AI and deep tech ties. There's 150 billion in investments coming into the UK. There's 30 billion that's been announced going into the US. So they're only strengthening that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll talk about the differences regarding the Palestinian statehood later on, but what about the public opinion? To what extent are the protests about Trump personally versus US policies under his administration?
My perception of this is that the protests in his first term, where they had the blow up of a baby Trump, was far greater than what we're seeing now. Clearly, we believe in freedom of speech, and it is good to see peaceful protests protecting that right of freedom of speech. But quite frankly, people are focused on the action points, the problem that we're having between getting Putin to the table to do a peace deal with Zelensky. Trump was very transparent, saying he feels let down by Putin, but we must continue to try to work towards a deal lest we get into another world war, which nobody wants.
Mm-hmm. We've seen the videos being projected on buildings of Trump and Epstein together. How might this Epstein-related controversy have complicated the optics for Downing Street and Buckingham Palace along public opinion?
I will be frank, the focus is not really there. The focus is elsewhere. The focus is on freedom of speech. It's on the rights of the citizens of both nations. It's on peace and being able to solve these two major conflicts with Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and Gaza. And then, of course, on the prosperity, working together. Trump did mention that UK got the best deal, the first deal, which was the 10% tariff deal. So they were really underscoring that this is a relationship that's going to endure despite the difference of opinion towards what's happening in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about the freedom of speech. We've seen Keir Starmer mentioning that the country, the UK, is built on freedom of expression and speech. Also, the question was directed to President Donald Trump regarding the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel's show in regards to the joke he cracked about Charlie Kirk's death. The president mentioned that it was actually due to a lack of talent. What does the American public and the British public at that, the international audience think? Is it about the censorship or is it about a lack of talent?
I think it's really about brand and reputation risk. If you're a corporate and if you're espousing your freedom of speech, but in a way that is considered quite offensive to your viewers, perhaps it's not good policy to have shows that are not going to attract the viewers. Again, this is a corporate decision, but yes, Charlie Kirk believed in freedom of speech, and some of that included ugly speech. So we cannot infringe upon our freedom of speech, but that's a personal decision for corporate to decide when it crosses the line, it's reputational risk.
Mm-hmm. We've seen the pageantry and the royal ceremonies. Do you see Trump leveraging royal symbolism to reinforce maybe his political stature back home?
I believe the pageantry, he loves that. We know he adores all of that. And the fact that the UK has been around for so long, he acknowledged the UK as being truly, the motherland of all the Western values that we share. He talked about the faith that we share, the freedoms that we share, the love that we share, the language that we share, and working together to protect those values. I think it's very important right now. There are big culture wars that are happening right now that are infringing upon Western values.
Mm-hmm. How significant is the decision to host Trump for an unprecedented second state visit? Is it a message to European Union capitals or to Washington voters?
I think it's a message to European capitals, to Washington voters, to Putin, to Xi. It's a message to the world that these two strong nations remain solidified, unified in the face of the adversities that we are seeing today in our world.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Knotson, now you've mentioned that the biggest difference or disagreement between both leaders was the two-state solution, the Palestinian sovereignty and statehood. Do you feel that this political difference or disagreement in no way is affecting the economic cooperation and the political relationship between both countries is totally separate, not connected in any way to any economic ties?
I believe it's a very delicate situation. Clearly, at the UN, most countries, almost, I think it's over 140, have voted to recognize the Palestinian state. Trump clearly stated he disagreed with Prime Minister Starmer on this point, but did acknowledge that he wants this conflict to end. He tried to change the focus back to the atrocities of October 7th. And clearly for the UK and for Keir Starmer, it's about the intolerable way that this war is being waged on innocent people and the starvation that's happening. And Trump is sticking to his line of standing behind Israel, while a big portion of the MAGA party and a lot of the students, as we know, on campus, they all speak out against this.
Mm-hmm. Well, apart from the protest regarding Trump's visit, the British protest regarding Trump's visit to the UK, he still also has fans there. How do the British Conservatives balance the admiration for Trump's style with unease over his rhetoric and the trade measures?
I will be honest, the Labour government here has been a disaster for the UK. and it only keeps getting worse. We've seen it with all the recent, changes in the Labor government. We've seen it with departures from the Conservative Party to Reform. Trump made no secret of the fact when he was here in Scotland that he was also a big fan of Nigel Farage, who really has taken a page out of Trump's book. And a lot of people here in the UK say we need a leader like Trump who cares about the interest of the British people, who will protect their borders, who will protect the economy, the wealth creators, the innovators, and be there to defend the rights of UK citizens. So many people are calling for leadership akin to Trump, and many think that is in Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reform Party.
Well, trying to wrap up this visit, what sort of lessons might the White House take from this mix of pomp and protest as it plans future European diplomacy? Does this visit strengthen or strain Trump's global image heading into the election year?
This absolutely strengthens his image. The unprecedented second state visit, it happening at Windsor Castle, of course, because of the repairs happening at Buckingham Palace, but just to talk about the history of Windsor Palace, the history of this country, that we had the Magna Carta, all the freedoms that are vital to our Western democracy, it puts that under the spotlight. And Trump was very complimentary to the monarch, very complimentary to the leadership here, and also very complimentary to working together on technology, because they see technology as the answer to many of the problems of the future. I think this has been a big win for Trump, and it's also been a big win for the UK.
Mrs. Nora Lee Knotson, the Republican commentator, thank you for unpacking the meaning behind Trump's reception in Britain and what it signals for transatlantic politics.